All right, John, the big news that we heard earlier today, as we expected, the Madrid Open announcing its cancellation as cases of COVID-19 have continued to go up in Spain. What was your reaction to hearing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only intrigue here among people I was speaking to was Jan Tiriac, who is a creative businessman who owns this event, was he going to figure out a card to play? Because the government was very clear several days ago this event was, they recommended it not go on, and players were making arrangements, working on the assumption it was not. Today came the official word. There was an ATP board call today, though, and it does seem as though there might be some creative solution here, but it doesn't look like there will be any tennis in Spain anytime soon. So the official word came down today. But again, this was something that people have been talking about for several days now. And like you said, Steve, this was just a function of COVID rates and trend lines and nothing more.
Yeah, it's good to know that health of players and fans, as well as the organizers, people who are involved with putting these events together, you've got to think about their health first and foremost. It was good to speak with Feliciano Lopez, the tournament director, to just get more insight. But it makes sense, and it's just too risky at times, depending on the countries we're looking at playing, and it's been too risky to try to organize these events. Things can change quickly from week to week, but I think this is the safe bet.
Rafael Nadal was supposed to play in Madrid. He announced today he has withdrawn from the U.S. Open, so won't be playing the Western and Southern Open or the U.S. Open. Chanda, no defending champ at the U.S. Open. Huge news.
It is, and a lot of disappointment. I mean, there are many fans that are disappointed to not get the chance to see Rafa play and defend his title at the U.S. Open. Certainly the organizers of the event, the USTA. I mean, this affects everyone from the top on down. But you look at players, the decisions that they've had to make, the tough circumstances, and so you hear some people kind of say there's such a low likelihood of death from this virus, from this pandemic. But I'm saying, okay, it's a global pandemic. Even if it's a small percentage, a small chance, that is hundreds of thousands of deaths around the world. And so we have to respect players' decisions, to take that into account, to take the health of themselves as well as their family members into account. And so certainly I think we have to support Rafa Nadal and his decision.
I think that's a great point, Chanda. I mean, the obvious tactical decision is, look, this precedes clay. Why are you going to come across an ocean, play on hard courts, only to go over the clay, which is a surface you basically owned for the last decade and a half? But I think this goes beyond that. I mean, Rafa Nadal, guys, he has 19 majors. The guy who has the record has 20, and he's not playing, of course, better. So think about what this says about Rafa Nadal. I mean, this really is a function of his level of concern. I've been in touch with his camp for the last, 5-6 months. This has really impacted him. And I think this is another reminder that an entry list is not necessarily consistent with the list of players who plays an event, because we had heard for really months now that Rafa had no interest in playing in the United States this year. He is a player who's been very outspoken about how impacted he's been by what he's been witnessing in Spain. And so this was not a big surprise, but I think it's too simplistic to say, oh, he's just saving himself for clay. I think, as Chanda said, part of this is Rafa Nadal is really, and he'll talk about this, I mean, he's spooked by this. So it's tactical, it fits in, we'll see him at the French Open, but it goes beyond just a scheduling decision.
Yeah, John, he said in his statement, this is a decision I never wanted to take, but I've decided to follow my heart this time. And for the time being, I would rather not travel. And of course, he travels with a big team as well. So no Rafa Nadal at the U.S. Open. 7 of the top 10 players on the ATP Tour still entered in the U.S. Open, and 9 of the top 10 on the women's side, including the defending champ Bianca Andreescu. Meantime, the action continued in Palermo today. Day 2, a lot of upsets, but not with the top seed, Petra Martic. She went 16-3 on clay last year, including her first title in Istanbul, and had no trouble today, Chanda, with Alison van Uytvanck.
Yeah, it was almost like a fish getting back into water for Petra Martic. She moves so well on this surface, plays beautifully at the net. That stretch volley helped her go through the first set pretty quickly, 6-love. In the second set, it got a little more complicated. Van Uytvanck has the ability to upset play, to put opponents out of position, but Martic just had all the answers. Her serve in particular was on. In the second set, she had to save 4 break points. She did save all of them. That kind of variety, that got her out of trouble a number of times. And at the end, it was Martic who was able to get the 1 break of serve she needed to close out the match in 2 sets. Fantastic play and a good start for her.
Yeah, the top seed able to survive, wins in straight sets, won 15-22 points on the Van Uytvanck second serve. So big win for Petra Martic. Meantime, the top-ranked Italian Camila Giorgi coming into her match, taking on Rebecca Peterson, John. And she was 2 points from losing the first set, won the next 7 games.
An up-and-down affair for Camila Giorgi is a redundant statement, Steve. This has nothing to do with first match back after COVID. She is high-risk, high-reward tennis. Nod to the snakeskin attire, but no, Camila Giorgi is the highest-ranked Italian player in this event, and this was a typical Giorgi match. A lot of errors, a lot of double faults, 7 to be exact, but some big slugging at the right time. Pedersen, the much more sort of steady, measured player, but this was a nice match, a nice contrast of styles, and Pedersen was able to climb back into both sets, but Giorgi ended up closing it out. And, you know, this is always a fun player to watch. Again, an up-and-down match, but I would suggest that is just how Camila Giorgi rolls. That is not a function of her first match back after a multi-month absence.
Absolutely converted all 4 of her break points. Meantime, Elise Mertens, the seeded player in this match, against Alexandra Sasnovich, who was down 3-1 in the first set, Shanda, then won 11 of the next 13 games.
Yes, Sasnovich is a talented player, and Mertens just couldn't quite find the answer. She tried changing it up, mixing it up, but nice movement from Sasnovich there, helping her to close out that first set. And in the second set, she got better, and that's always a good sign for any player, that they can raise their level, they can stay in that zone, but go one better. And Sasnovich showing that there, the variety, keeping Mertens off balance. She was able to break 4 times, attacking the Mertens second serve. And in particular, she was impressive on her serve. So a fantastic win for her as well.
So a lot of upsets in Palermo. Which one stands out to you the most, Chanda, of these 5 upsets, 3-seeded players going down?
For me, I think it was Vondrousova, certainly, with the way she started that first set. So clean, so good. Maybe started having a few physical issues, but Yvonne really played well to get through that one in 3.
Yvonne, the big win over the 2-seed, John, and Jasmine Paolini playing well yesterday. So we see a lot of the Italians being successful in this tournament in Palermo, John, with the home crowd there.
The home crowd, maybe not quite as raucous as it might be in other years, but, you know, if nothing else, there is some familiarity. There obviously are going to be fewer travel complications. Nice to see this event getting back to this kind of a start. A few fans there got to see some nice tennis. And between Sarah Irani and Giorgi yesterday, I mean, this has been a nice tournament so far for the homegrown field, guys.
All right, let's take a look at the matchups coming up tomorrow. We have it for you right here on Tennis Channel starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Chanda, which one stands out?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm kind of interested to see Irani Pliskova. We'll actually, I think, be calling that one, Steve, Christina Pliskova. But Irani, how will she come up after that long match, physically, emotionally? Pliskova, she's got some weapons, so it should be a nice contrast of styles.
John, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I want to keep going on. Yeah, let's keep talking about Irani, because I think this is really a nice story that a lot of people are missing. I mean, this is a player who was top 5. She was a French Open finalist. She was outside the top 300 at this time last year. So this is really a nice comeback for a player who doesn't have a lot of weapons. She's always been sort of the obvious comparison, sort of the female David Ferrer in her prime, and she's had a very rough go of it for the past few years. Nice to see her winning some matches again.
You see the 3 Italian flags there, and just 2 seeded players. Donna Vekic played well 2 days ago. We'll see if she can keep the run going in Palermo as well. Much more still to come here on Tennis Channel Live.